Wondering whether you should spend the money on the paid version of ChatGPT or not? Today, Rajiv and I are going to go down and we're going to break down 6 different ways to understand exactly what the differences are and which one you should be utilizing in your business.
So Jimmy, I'm excited about this because when you and I started using ChatGPT, we clearly got on the free version, started using it for quite a bit, and then realized its limitations. And then March of 2023, the paid one came out and we jumped on it and we've not looked back. But I think it makes sense for us to sort of separate the two and kind of talk about the 6 differences, like you mentioned. My favorite is the 6, so stay tuned till the end though. I'll tell you what, that is a game changer in my opinion, once you get to the paid one, but you need to get through the other one. So let's dive in. So the first one for me, Jimmy, is, when I started using GPT 3.5, it was very text conversations only. And you can do a lot with text conversations. You can create email marketing. We're going to do one on listing presentations here soon. A lot of that stuff is text-based. So you start talking to like a human being, human conversational language, you get back text. So there's only a single mode. So the difference here is GPT 3.5, which is the free version of ChatGPT, can only do text conversations. GPT-4 in the paid version, $20 a month at the time of recording this podcast, is a multimodal chat, which means you can do text, you can image, you can upload images, you can upload documents, you upload PDFs, all in the same chat. And therefore, your productivity is going to be greatly enhanced with the first difference in our mind is single mode versus multi-mode. So the second one, Jimmy, is knowledge cutoff. This has been fascinating to watch. ChatGPT, the first time when I started using it, it was August 2021 for the free one. And the paid one were both the same. But of course, the paid one opens other things that you can eliminate the knowledge cutoff. But today, on the free one, 3.5, the knowledge cutoff is January 2022. What does that mean? Which means it's more prone to making stuff up, or we call it hallucinations in ChatGPT world, or incorrect responses. However, the knowledge cutoff on my ChatGPT today is September 2023 for the paid one. So I think that difference is going to be narrowed, but therefore, OpenAI put this out, which makes sense now. GPT-4 is 40% more likely to give you correct responses versus GPT 3.5. And I think that number is going to continuously climb. And I don't think they'll narrow the gap with the knowledge cutoff because at the end of the day, they want you to buy this stuff. So we'll see how far the gap narrows. But hallucinations is a thing in ChatGPT. So anything you want to add there, Jimmy?
Yeah, Rajiv, I would just say, let's talk about these first two and kind of what the differences mean to agents, for instance. So if we're talking about the change in the cutoff date for the information, some of the things that we look at is obviously with the paid version, having the capability to tie into the internet in some ways with the one of the things that I think is most important is that when we're looking at it from an agent's perspective, being able to give up-to-date information is a huge difference here. And so you want to speak to some of these main differences that agents could possibly see in maybe some of the things that they're doing and how they're utilizing it.
Yeah, so a good example, a very easy example to understand for knowledge cutoff is if I were to ask ChatGPT 3.5, what is the market trends in my area for a certain recent month? It's going to say my knowledge cuts off at 2021 or 2022, whereas the paid one can get you what you need because it's more current. And with other differences we're going to talk about, that knowledge cutoff of September 2023 can be eliminated by connecting it to a plugin of an internet browser plugin. So that's one example. The other one that I really enjoyed with the multimodal, Jimmy, is we get all these infographics. I mean, we create charts, and all these things. Like you may get one from Keeping Current Matters or Realtor.com. They're putting out all this stuff from NAR. Now with the multimodal, I can simply upload the image to ChatGPT-4 and say, can you write a social post and help me digest this information? Versus most agents I see just posting that image on social media without any copy. But now you can easily create relevant copy that it can read an image and digest it for you. And even spreadsheets. You can actually take pictures of spreadsheets and put it up there. So there's several applications for the image and multimodal component in GPT-4. So those are some clear applications for the 4 versus the 3.5.
Yeah, and like you're talking about, for those agents that may be wanting to do some local content about activities that are happening during a specific week or a weekend, you just have that cutoff date. But if you have that ability to do the plug-in and have that, you can get something that's more up-to-date there. We've even seen, Rajiv, where you can take a photo in the paid version of your refrigerator, and then just say, based on the images in this, utilize as many of the contents as you see in a recipe, and it will absolutely give you a recipe to use what it sees in that picture. I mean, this is the time we live in, which is pretty amazing. So I think we're just scratching the surface on the difference. And here we are. I think if we look back in a few months even, and we talk about and we rewind and we listen to our conversation today, I think just as the AI is getting better, our understanding of its capabilities are going to continue to get better as well. And we're going to be like, wow, we just had no idea how good this thing could really be. So let's move on to number 3, if you don't mind. We'll keep this bus moving.
Yeah. So before I move on to number 3, since you opened the refrigerator, I'm going to pick one item. So I was at an Indian restaurant recently, and I ate a really good, delicious biryani, which is a flavored rice thing. Yeah. And I took a picture of that. I said, I need to learn how to make this. So I uploaded to ChatGPT and said, describe this image and give me a recipe. And it described it accurately and gave me a recipe to make this thing, which I'm going to make when my kids come home. So,
oh my God.
Moving on. Difference number 3 is memory limits. So think of GPT 3.5 has a smaller word count. GPT calls it tokens, but for the most part, just think of words. It can limit itself to approximately 3,000 words, which means if you start to post articles, have it digest stuff, it starts to lose memory as it gets closer to 3,000, whereas GPT-4 has a 25,000 word limit. So it's a big difference there. And this comes into play when you are having larger text conversations, because if you've trained GPT 3.5, it'll tend to start to forget if the text string is too long. So something you want to keep in mind, there will be a tendency for it to forget, even though you've trained it, right? So that's difference number 3. So let's talk about difference number 4. So we talked about multimodal, we talked about images, we talked about text to image. You can also upload files to GPT-4. So you could upload a spreadsheet that you worked on, maybe it's your business. You can upload, I uploaded a PDF, Jimmy, of our company against competitors. And I just uploaded it and I said, can you summarize all references to our company in this document and how we rank among stuff? So it'll digest information and it'll respond back, and you can have a conversation about the document. You could also, here's another one, you could also put a spreadsheet up of all your contacts. How many of us have a CRM, but we struggle uploading information in a certain format? GPT-4 will help you, because you can upload the actual template that the CRM takes, in this case, whether it's KV Core, whatever you're using, and then you can upload your spreadsheet that doesn't match up, and it'll help you get it to the finish line faster. Here's a real world application for our real estate agents that are listening to this. So that's another one that I think will really help work with documents. And there's a lot more to this, but that's another difference that I think should be called out. Anything you want to add there, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's been great for us to be able to utilize, like you're saying, multiple documents or different links to websites on the paid version, where we can then reference specific things, even writing in certain tones. You know, we've talked about this before, but had the ability to take existing emails, 3 and 4 different emails, different blog posts that were written before, and then save that as it saves that memory with the Bolt as the plugin that we've talked about before, I believe. But it gives me the ability now to have my voice, where if I wanted to write an email to a group of clients or to someone, it would be in my voice and my tone. So those are that memory portion, and the size of that, because I just keep that going on that one, on that one little strand there, as far as that group of prompts. And it's been tremendous to save time and not to have to continue to train it every time that we go in there.
100%. And that's a good segue, Jimmy, your comments to the difference number 5 from 3.5 to 4, which is plugins. Plugins were truly born to help widen ChatGPT's knowledge. And a great analogy, and we've talked about it, I love analogies because you can digest things easily. Think about plugins similar to apps on your phone. You can do so much more with your phone if you have the right apps. You can do so much more with video on your phone if you have video apps like Caption, right? So think of ChatGPT has a plugin store. And so if you're starting to do something about, you're starting to do some research, you might want to start with an internet-based plugin like Jimmy alluded to earlier. You might want to put a YouTube summaries. How about summarizing YouTube videos? So you can digest it and create a social post, do all of those things. So just like when we got the iPhone and we really got good with it, there's always an app for something. There's an app for that. Think of ChatGPT, there's a plugin for that. So it really widens your workflow of things you want to do with ChatGPT and connect it to things you've been doing and bring that data in and take that data out. So plugins is a great one. And that's my difference number 5. And we said, wait for 6, right? Before 6.
The drum roll. This is the drum roll time for number 6.
Number 6 is the drum roll time. So November 6th, OpenAI had their developer day, which they announced a bunch of things. It was so big that I guess Microsoft CEO also showed up there because they invested a few $1 billion. But difference number 6 is now with ChatGPT Pro or 4, you can build your own GPTs. So I want you to think about, before you know it, we will have our own listing description GPT, a business coach GPT. How many of us like to learn negotiation? How about building a negotiator GPT to really learn the skills in business? And guess what? You just need to be able to converse with a human language to build your own GPT. So before you know it, as you follow our podcast, you're going to be introduced to some GPTs that you can use that we've built for growing your career that will save you time and increase your productivity. So that building your own GPTs, I think, is a game changer. And that's why I think that's my number 6.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. This is, again, one of those that literally just a few weeks ago when we were first starting to talk about this podcast, it wasn't even available. So we don't even realize the things that are coming that are really going to be game changers. This is one of those, though, where if we can set these things up where it would specifically help us have the tone of our voice, how to understand how to maximize and put together a listing description, the one you used as an example there, that attracts the ideal client for those types of properties and does this efficiently and is going to write it better than the best writer you know. I mean, this is the kind of things that we're talking about. They're going to create efficiencies for those professional agents to really take their business to the next level and be able to serve their clients at the highest level possible.
Yeah. And a hot take is, in closing, $20 a month is the steal of the century.
It's the steal of the century. No doubt about that. Rajiv, this has been such good information. Listen, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe to the podcast, make sure you do so. This is Rajiv and I are going to do our best to make sure that if you're listening to this, you're walking away with some new information, some information that helps you serve your clients at a higher level. Take care, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you later.
Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.